The OG Doom was a pretty big deal. Wolfenstein 3D, which released in 1992, is the actual grandfather of the FPS genre, but Doom is the big papa. Doom was a cultural behemoth that opened the floodgates for the FPS genre's first wave. Doom fathered an entire generation of FPS babies. Doom made the womb go boom. Fun fact, Doom was so popular that in 1995, the game was installed on more PCs than Windows. Yes, literal Windows, the operating system. You can talk about Doom's cultural impact all day long, but let's talk about the actual game. Doom is fun as hell. It actually even holds up surprisingly well these days. In my opinion, Doom's gameplay is upheld by 3 core pillars: controls, map design, and vibes. Every gun feels just right and behaves exactly the way you want it to. Each map is a maze of monster closets and secret paths. And those satanic vibes, the 8-bit beats, the monster shrieks, the gunshot pops, well shit. Those vibes tie Doom's gameplay building blocks together into an out-of-this-world experience. What if I told you that Doom is the Sonic of first-person shooters? Both Sonic and Doom provide the player with a viscerally satisfying core set of gameplay actions and then let the player utilize these tools in distinct web-like gameplay matrices. In both Sonic and Doom, players can blitz through levels or explore each little nook and cranny. Most interestingly for me is the way that both Sonic and Doom are perceived as extreme experiences, super speed and megadeth, but are actually both masters at managing that fundamental ebb and flow between action and downtime. In Doom, you spend a big proportion of your time kinda just fatty chilling, dotting around from door to door. Mid-chill though, you'll open a door and surprise motherfucker, it's monster slaying time. It's this expert management of when to let the shit hit the fan that builds up a tantalizing sense of excitement and tension to a Doom playthrough. Doom feels like a crazy hellish shitstorm because it knows how to perfectly throttle the balls to the wall shittery. This is the part of the story where we jump to 2001. I'm not saying that other great FPSs didn't launch between the OG Doom's release in 1993 and 2001, but I believe that none of those FPSs could be considered a big papa the way that the OG Doom was a big papa. No FPS truly innovated hard enough to create another tidal wave of copycats and wannabes. No other FPS inherited the mantle. That is, until the release of Halo Combat Evolved. Playing Doom and Halo 1 back to back made me realize just how much Halo CE riffed off of that Doom template. There are a bucket load of surface level similarities. The sci-fi suit silent protagonist, the 4-letter title, the alien moans. In fact, to me, the very beginning of Halo 1, where you fight through a somewhat maze-like spaceship interior, is a direct homage to Doom. It's in that iconic second mission, arriving on Halo, when Bungie made its mission statement clear. Bungie explicitly showed you the old ways, the Doom style of FPS gameplay, then they shoot you onto a literal and figurative new planet. Opened your drop pod door, and then they showed you what this game is really about. They show you the next evolution of the first-person shooter. They show you Halo. I think the subtle but fundamental difference between OG Doom and Halo is the way that in Doom, the map's design was what dictated how a level played out, while in Halo, that control shifted more to the player. It would be unfair to say that the OG Doom is overly linear, but I think it is fair to say that there are a limited number of choices for the player to actually make. On the flip side, Halo has you making micro but impactful decisions all the time. Halo limits your arsenal to 2 guns that you have to purposefully equip, and instead of having you fight in somewhat constrained mazes, it plops you into big ass battlefields with AI soldiers and vehicles, all of which you can choose to interact with or ignore. Halo isn't just Doom translated to be viable for consoles, it's an evolution that turns potential console limitations into its own strengths. Things like a slower time to kill and a slower movement speed, on paper, seem like downgrades, but they fit perfectly into Halo's different jigsaw equation. Most significantly, Halo shifted away from a health bar to a regenerative health model. Regenerative health fits the more open design of Halo because it allows players to explore its more expansive areas without having to constantly worry about picking up the next health pack. It's a smart design decision that fits what Halo is trying to do. That being said, regenerative health does bring its own new issues for developers to deal with. The thing about art is that it's not a 1 + 1 = 2 type of world. Both Halo and Doom are trying to make a sweet, delicious dessert. One bakes an apple pie, one bakes a chocolate cake, but both are tasty and delicious. It just so happened that Halo CE's apple pie was what the FPS world needed at that time, and it thus showed the gaming world that it was possible to make truly great console first-person shooters. Post Halo CE, FPSs started popping out left, right and center, all following CE's template, not least of which was a little game series called Call of Duty. Call of Duty's great revolution was to say, hey, remember how Halo had big open levels? Yeah, let's not do that anymore. I'm about to make a generalized statement. Call of Duty's campaign gameplay, even at the best of times, was never really that great. COD campaigns function as roller coasters. These games shoot you from set piece to set piece and just constantly throw new shit at you, all so that you don't have time to stop and digest just how paper thin each mechanic really is. It's kind of a weird thing to say, but Call of Duty campaigns are low-key carried by their stories. I'm not saying that COD campaigns can't be entertaining single-player experiences, just mechanically shallow. Pretty shallow. Remember when I told you that regenerative health brings its own design issues? Well, the big issue with regenerative health is that it promotes cowardice. When your health regenerates if you just hang back for a few seconds, there's no explicit incentive to not play it safe. Regenerative health can unintuitively punish risk-taking and aggressive gameplay. On lower difficulty levels, this isn't really an issue, but if you bump things up to veteran or legendary, holy shit! You end up in a situation where getting better at the game isn't really about getting better at the game. It's about either being more patient and boring or cheesing the game with exploitable noob combos. Remember how Call of Duty revolutionized the field of hyperlinear level design? Yeah, that made the whole regenerative health situation 10 times worse. As time went on, single-player first-person shooters really began to devolve in quality. Every game developer wanted to release the next Call of Duty, and a lot of Halo's once innovative game design decisions were implemented just for the sake of it. Even former big papas like Halo and Doom eventually stagnated and lost their way. We had a situation where first-person shooter developers were trying to make delicious desserts but left out any type of seasoning, any type of interesting flavor combinations. The cinnamon or lemon drizzle might seem like the least important part of the dish, but it's actually these details, these supposedly luxurious additions that make your blob of baked ingredients recognizable as an actual something. A lot of single-player FPSs released in this era were just flour and milk, edible but forgettable. They all had linear levels and regenerative health because of course they did. I can TLDR every FPS campaign from this era for you right now. Hide behind cover. Wait. Shoot one enemy. Move to next cover. Wait. Shoot one enemy. Then rinse and repeat. For higher difficulty levels, there was just more waiting. In the midst of that decaying single-player FPS landscape, out of nowhere, id once again changed the game. Id created another new big papa. Id gave the world Doom 2016, a soft reboot of Doom 1993. Doom is Doom, but also Doom is the Ratatouille from Ratatouille. The core pillars that make Doom 2016 so great are the same core pillars that upheld OG Doom's excellence. And guess what? The foundation for each of those pillars is again similar to the OG pillars. It's crazy how much Doom 2016 takes from the past, yet still manages to synthesize into something modern and exciting. Doom dials in on giving the player complete control. Doom gives you the player speed, gives you the punchy weapons that all have a unique place in the sandbox, and Doom even shows you explicitly how each enemy behaves. Doom gives you all that knowledge, all that empowerment, and says, go on then, In a complete reversal of modern FPS design, to get better at Doom, you have to actually get better at Doom. A big part of what makes Doom's carnage so fun is that, as opposed to just hanging back and pew-pewing faraway pixels like some dumbass wannabe duck hunt, you have to actively annihilate and butcher every enemy. All that annoying nonsense that developers began implementing just for the sake of it. Yeah, fuck all that. Bye bye sprint, bye bye reloading, bye bye weapon limits, bye bye boredom. The easiest way to tell that Doom is amazing is by analyzing the glory kill. At first, you might think that the glory kill is an unnecessary aesthetic addition. You could not be more wrong. Remember how regenerative health led to the awkward situation where games would punish you for being aggressive? Well, the geniuses at id flipped the script. id brought back the health bar and decided to actually reward players for pushing forward and killing enemies in an action shooter. id repurposed the OG Doom FPS loop with modern technology and new innovative mechanics, and thus created a bold new gameplay experience where the player is constantly thrust back into action by the glory kill health drop industrial complex. Not only are the glory kills jokes to watch, they also serve as important gameplay mechanics. This is what I'm trying to tell you guys, style is substance. Where modern FPS campaigns had devolved into generic, mechanically shallow corridor wait fests, Doom is a personality-filled, non-stop thrill ride of first-person fun. Doom also took the hyperlinear corridors of COD and said, no thanks, boom, back to the somewhat less linear mazes of 1993 baby, except this time with verticality and less backtracking. Oh, and you want to talk about Doom 2016's vibe factor? Take all the satanic chic from 1993 and multiply that by Mick Gordon. Doom 2016 is such a revelation and truly defied the odds by reminding us that the priority of a video game is to be fun. By having a crappy IGN review, an E3 upgrade, and a scummy review embargo, Doom defied the gaming gods and created a new unholy trinity of video game excellence. Doom and Persona 4 Golden are the only two games to have ever received the Bang Reshi Platinum Replay button. Those two are the only games that immediately after the credits rolled, I began replaying instantly.
Hell yeah. Here we go again.
As the title highlights, Doom 2016 saved first-person shooters, but we also have to give credit to Wolfenstein: The New Order, which is actually the granddaddy of this recent FPS revival. And oh shit, history really does repeat itself. Did you guys think it was over? That's cute. Let me introduce you to Doom Eternal. Listen you guys, Doom 2016 might have saved first-person shooters, but Doom Eternal took FPSs to the next level. The big boys at id took the foundation they built with Doom 2016 and dipped it into a vat of pure concentrated cocaine. Even more player speed, even more enemies per encounter, even more enemy types. There are more balls hitting more walls all the time. id finally had the courage and bravery to remove the most oppressive video game mechanic of all time. Doom Eternal revolutionarily removed the crouch button and replaced it with the almighty dash. Simply genius. Doom Eternal doubles down on the FPS philosophies that id had rediscovered with Doom 2016. They give you even more player control and expanded upon the ways that you can recover health through combat. You still have the glory kill, but now you can also flame enemies for armor, ice them for a cheeky bit more health, and id also chucked in the blood punch for good measure. Crucially, they also gave each enemy type specific weak points that you can attack for massive damage.
Now that's a lot of damage!
While Eternal further empowers you in the ways I have already listed, it also takes away some of your abilities from 2016. Doom Eternal gives the player way less ammo compared to what you had in 2016. Eternal also makes the melee practically useless. At first, the lack of ammo can feel jarring and annoying. It can feel like id is just taking away from your freedom, from your ability to rip and tear. When you compound that with the weakness of Doom Guy's punch, it feels like id might be really doing you dirty. That analysis would fortunately be a little short-sighted, my friend. As observed with regenerative health, the ways that game design manifests into actual player behavior can be a little unintuitive. If you give the player too many options, too much freedom, they can be overwhelmed with choice. When you are overwhelmed with choice, you tend to choose the safest, most optimal solution. That's just how humans are built. In 2016, once you unlock the super shoddy and the rocket launcher, you could kinda spam those to victory. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just your survival of the fittest instincts kicking in. By taking away your ability to use any gun at any time, Doom Eternal pushes you to use every gun in your arsenal. You actually then end up having a more varied gameplay experience because you can't just rely on an easy win button. The uselessness of the melee again takes away a crutch that the player might potentially abuse. Those enemy type weak points I mentioned, yeah, they also help vary the Doom Eternal experience because they reward you for killing enemies in ways you probably wouldn't have otherwise. Remember how glory kills give you health? Well, I forgot to mention that chainsaw kills also give you fat stacks of ammo. If you know what you're doing, killing enemies helps you kill more enemies. Trust me guys, id really thought this stuff through. It's harder to get a handle of at first, but once you begin to understand the eternal way, once you let go of the mental shackles within, forged through years of playing shallow first-person shooters, then you will begin to engage in a beautiful, symphonic and visceral vision of video game entertainment. Id have crafted a game that pushes you into being the very best Doom guy that you can be. Doom Eternal doubles down on that anti-cheese mentality, even more so than in 2016. In Doom Eternal, to get better at the game, you have to get better at the game. Of course, on the higher difficulty levels, you need to be more careful, but unlike in your everyday military corridor shooter, there are no shortcuts to victory. There is a real meaning to and sense of accomplishment in the Doom Eternal difficulty ladder grind. If you get to grips with Eternal's gameplay, you low-key can't go back to 2016. It's like when I was a kid, sure, I liked candy, I liked milk chocolate, I liked sweets. Once I acquired an appreciation of dark chocolate though, once I got some hair on my sack and became a man of the world, well shit. Once you reach that level, once you truly begin to understand the beauty of 85% cacao green and black dark chocolate, once you begin to understand the complexity of that flavor profile, you just can't go back. At the end of the day, Doom Eternal is a really fun and satisfying single player FPS, and that's all that really matters to me. I cannot wait to see what Doom's future has in store.